artificial intelligence has, well, it's almost kind of crept into our daily lives, hasn't it?
It really has.
From, simple things like how you stream your favorite show to really complex systems guiding medical diagnoses. It's clearly more than just another piece of text.
Absolutely. It's fundamentally changing things.
Yeah, reshaping our world in ways we're, I think, only just starting to really get our heads around.
Mm-hmm.
So today, we're going to do a deep dive. We've got a whole stack of sources, including some really insightful human development reports, to unpack the huge promises and also the very real perils AI presents for human development.
And our mission, really, for you listening, is to try and cut through some of the noise. All the hype around AI.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
A lot. We want to pull out the crucial insights and help you understand what this all means for you, for your work, your health, and, well, the future of society.
Right.
We're aiming to distill this often pretty complex information into something clear, actionable, without, hopefully overwhelming anyone.
Okay, sounds good. So let's start unpacking this, because our sources point out a really key distinction right away in the world of AI.
Yes, they do.
On one side, you have what's called classical programming, the traditional approach.
Right, where you give the computer very specific formal instructions.
Exactly. And it's great at mastering and executing routine, predictable tasks based on those rules. Like, think of a super efficient calculator following a set formula.
Perfect analogy. But then there's this, revolutionary leap. Generative artificial intelligence.
Which includes those large language models everyone's talking about.
Precisely. And unlike classical programming, generative AI is designed to create new things.
New content.
Yeah, text, images, videos, even really complex stuff like protein structures. What's fascinating and fundamentally different is how this allows AI to master and execute non-routine tasks.
Okay.
Including tasks where human knowledge is what we call tacit.
Tacit knowledge. Can you unpack that a bit for us? What does that mean exactly?
Sure, good question. Think of tacit knowledge as the kind of skill you can't easily write down in, like, an instruction manual. It's like a chef's intuition for seasoning, maybe,
Sure.
Or how a skilled surgeon just feels the right pressure. It's learned through experience, often subconscious.
Got it. So AI can learn these non-routine, almost intuitive things now.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, with this incredible new capability comes a key characteristic we absolutely need to understand: hallucination.
Hallucination. Sounds interesting.
It means the AI might generate false information or irrelevant stuff or even contradictory information. It could even make up a fact and then cite a source that just doesn't exist, which you can imagine creates some unique challenges.
That hallucination thing is fascinating and honestly a bit concerning too. How much of a barrier is that in the real world? Like, especially for things like medical diagnosis where you need accuracy.
Oh, it's a huge area of research and concern.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially for those high-stakes fields.
Yeah.
It really underscores why human oversight, human judgment, is still so critical, even with these powerful tools.
Right.
And that actually brings us to another key point the sources make. While AI often looks like it's working on its own,
It's not really.
not at all. It relies heavily on human labor, all the way through its supply chain.
From the very beginning. Yep.
From initial development, design, right through to the really crucial steps of data labeling and annotation, humans are definitely still in the loop.
That's important context. And speaking of context, the history here is pretty wild too. The sources remind us that back in the classical programming age, the cost of computing dropped by, 12 orders of magnitude?
An incredible number.
Just staggering. Like, imagine something costing $1 million yesterday costs just a penny today. That kind of scale.
Exactly. And that set the stage for the kind of accessibility AI is building on now.
Yeah.
It showed how widely this tech could spread.
So AI systems are getting more integrated into jobs. What does that mean for skills?
Well, the core idea is that working effectively alongside AI is going to be key. It's not just about using the tool, but understanding its limits, knowing how to interpret the outputs.
And applying human judgment.
Precisely. And our sources actually talk about 3 new kinds of roles emerging from this people plus machines relationship.
Oh, interesting. What are they?
They call them the explainer, the person who translates what the AI is doing into something humans can understand.
Okay, makes sense.
Then the trainer, who helps guide and refine how the AI learns.
Right.
And finally, the sustainer, who makes sure these AI systems are kept running responsibly, ethically, These are genuinely new kinds of jobs.
So new roles are emerging, but let's be real, AI can also disrupt and displace existing work. That's a big concern for a lot of people.
Absolutely, it can and it will.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The sources talk about strategies to handle this disruption. And it's not just about, learn to code.
No, it's much broader. The insight is that managing AI's impact needs a kind of holistic societal realignment,
Meaning?
meaning things like robust social protection systems, safety nets, plus adaptive skills building training that actually matches these new needs we just talked about.
And training people while they're still in their jobs.
Yes, focused on the job training for roles that are changing. And crucially, things like social dialogue and collective bargaining are highlighted. They're seen as key for creating actual, meaningful, decent work in this new AI world.
So it's about new skills, but also new social contracts almost.
Exactly, a fundamental renegotiation of what decent work even looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And another kind of counterintuitive point is how AI's availability might actually make advanced expertise more accessible.
How so?
Well, there's a survey of AI startups. Only 10% of their products needed users to have expert coding skills.
Wow, only 10%.
Yeah, so this could potentially depress the expertise wage premium, that extra pay you get for highly specialized skills.
Right, which used to be a big factor in wage inequality.
Exactly. It used to counter something called wage polarization, where middle-skilled jobs shrink and high-end and low-end jobs grow. AI might actually be reversing that.
Really?
The sources suggest that, they note the U.S. labor market, for instance, appears not to be polarizing anymore. That's a potentially significant shift.
That flexibility AI offers, it sounds like it could really empower people, especially smaller businesses.
Definitely. That's a huge potential benefit for small and medium enterprises, SMEs. They often don't have massive resources, right?
Right.
But AI can help them optimize how they operate, boost their creativity pretty cost-effectively. Think about your local coffee shop or bookstore.
Yeah, giving them tools only big corporations used to have.
Exactly. It could level the playing field, which is ultimately good for you, the consumer, too. More choice, more efficient services.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
AI is easily accessible if you're online.
Big if. Yeah, this puts people who lack internet access at an even bigger disadvantage. It really highlights the need to close those digital divides globally, urgently.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. What about AI's impact on our well-being? Things like education, health?
Right, another area where AI is playing a dual role. In schools, for instance, AI can definitely enhance learning. It can help teachers, tutors.
Maybe personalized learning?
Exactly. Foster more equal opportunities, including for students with special needs. And in healthcare, you see AI improving things like telemedicine, remote diagnosis, making care more accessible, especially maybe in rural areas.
Those are some clear benefits, but there are challenges too, right? The sources mention risks.
Yes, significant ones. A substantial risk of overuse, even addiction to digital platforms powered by AI, especially for teenagers.
Because these platforms are designed to keep you hooked.
They're optimized for engagement, yeah. And AI can supercharge that. Think AI-supported dialogues, maybe even those fake images spreading around.
It really hits home, doesn't it? We've all felt that pull. But AI optimizing it constantly, the mental health side is pretty stark.
It is. Studies show younger internet users, teens especially, have lower average mental health quotient scores. There are links to increased risks of things like anorexia, depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
It's sobering.
Is it different for older people?
It seems to be, yes. An interesting contrast. Older people appear less susceptible to some of those downsides, like social comparison or addictive features, maybe because their cognitive development is complete.
So they can enjoy the benefits more easily.
Potentially. But they face a different hurdle, just unfamiliarity with the new AI tech.
Ah.
Fewer than half of people over 60 have used tools like ChatGPT, for example, and general internet use is just lower for older groups. In Canada, it's like 99% for 15, 24-year-olds, but only 72% for those 75 plus.
That's a big gap. So it's not just access, but comfort, familiarity.
Exactly. A different kind of digital divide.
This brings up an important question about AI in care work, too. We hear about care robots.
Right, often pitched as reducing the human burden.
But care involves so much more than just physical tasks, right? There's that emotional, affective side.
Which usually can't be fully replaced. And interestingly, the reports highlight that these care technologies can actually create more work for human caregivers.
More work? How?
Like constant digital monitoring, managing the tech, especially for unpaid family caregivers.
And there are tough choices for older people, too.
Yeah, unfair trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like choosing between your privacy and being able to live independently at home, and it's telling.
Yeah.
People generally aren't keen on care robots if good human care is available.
And worryingly, the sources mention ageist stereotypes baked into these technologies.
Yes, embedded in the tech, in the data they're trained on, reflecting and even amplifying existing societal biases. It's a real problem.
So we've talked about the personal impacts, well-being, but this isn't just happening in isolation, is it? There's a bigger global picture.
Absolutely. These individual experiences are tied into a much larger context. Nations, powerful tech firms, they're all vying for dominance in AI.
A geopolitical race?
Pretty much. A geopolitical innovation race fueled by national priorities and corporate interests. And the risk is that many countries, many people get left behind.
And this creates a cultural mismatch.
Yeah, that's what the sources call it. AI models tend to reflect the cultures where they were primarily developed.
Like ChatGPT reflecting Western values more.
Essentially, yes. Responses are culturally closer to humans in very high Human Development Index, or HDI, countries, most distant from low HDI countries.
And that's why other countries want in on the supply chain, to get their values represented.
That's a big part of it, to ensure their voices, their perspectives, aren't just ignored or overwritten.
So what does this all mean for us then, this concentration of power?
Well, the sources paint a stark picture. A concentration of the key AI inputs, computing power, data, talent, in just a few hands.
A handful of powerful players.
Exactly. Which means things like those take it or leave it terms of service agreements we all click on. They effectively give these powerful firms carte blanche access to our daily lives.
Yeah.
They get to dictate the terms of our digital world.
Because the algorithms are the world, in a way.
The reports put it nicely. Algorithms are literally codified choices that don't just dominate the digital sphere, they constitute it. They shape what we see, what we access, how we interact, everything.
And built into those codified choices is bias.
A truly pervasive issue.
Yeah.
AI tech is designed by people, right? So it reflects human biases, societal prejudices, gaps in data.
Leading to biased outputs, like the healthcare example for older people you mentioned.
Exactly. If they're underrepresented in training data, the AI might misdiagnose or mismanage their care. And this gets reinforced elsewhere too, like in media.
How so?
Only 8% of AI engineers shown in influential movies are women. That reinforces stereotypes, affects career choices, how competence is perceived. It's not just about fairness, it impacts the quality of the AI itself.
And on top of the bias, there's a lack of accountability.
A serious lack. The sources point out there's minimal accounting of harms caused by AI.
Yeah.
And very little visibility on how it's actually being deployed and used.
Which makes it hard to assign responsibility when things go wrong.
Incredibly difficult. And it makes it tough to meet what they call procedural legitimacy standards.
Meaning?
In plain English. It's hard to trust AI's decisions if we don't know how they were made or who's responsible if they fail. Especially for big, high-stakes decisions. Accuracy isn't always enough for public trust.
Okay, we've covered a lot of the challenges. Let's shift to some of the positive applications. AI for global good.
Yes, absolutely. It's inspiring, actually. For climate action, for example, it's not just about optimizing energy grids anymore.
No.
AI is helping design truly sustainable vehicles, even new, greener ways to build things.
Yeah.
Moving from small improvements to potentially foundational shifts.
That sounds promising.
And it's enhancing environmental monitoring, detecting species, tracking migration, identifying illegal poaching, really practical stuff.
And what about social issues, like gender-based violence?
Also important work happening there, examples like MRAI, which helps courts analyze evidence in gender-based violence cases, or the Sophia chatbot, designed to support victims of online tech-facilitated abuse.
Okay, those are definitely hopeful applications. But here's where it gets, well, maybe a bit unsettling again. The reports actually tackle existential risk head-on.
They do. It's not just science fiction anymore.
No. You have experts, pioneers like Geoffrey Hinton, publicly warning about potential human extinction because of AI.
And it's being discussed at the highest levels. The UN Security Council met about this exact risk in July 2023.
Wow. So this AI race, it feels like speed is often prioritized over safety, over ethics.
That's the deep worry, yes. Which brings us to what some call the AI dilemma.
The trade-off between growth and existential risk.
Exactly. And there's this intriguing, if maybe chilling, idea presented in some models.
The one?
That if AI leads to massive mortality improvements, say, it cuts the death rate in half from 1% to 0.5%.
Right.
Then some models suggest it might still make sense to take existential risks.
Wait, really? Why?
The reasoning is a 1 in 4 chance of total catastrophe feels mathematically at least, more bearable if your expected lifespan jumps from, say, 100 years to 200 years.
That's a truly cold calculation, weighing oblivion against longer lives. Do the sources dig into the ethics of that? Like, who gets those longer lives and who bears that catastrophic risk?
They absolutely highlight the profound ethical questions.
Yeah.
These aren't just technical calculations. They're deeply societal, with huge equity implications. Who benefits? Who pays the price?
Right.
The reports don't give easy answers, but they force us to confront those questions. And the sobering truth is, our existing global governance systems, they're just too slow for this.
They can't keep up with AI's pace.
Not effectively. So there's a crucial call on these sources for new coalitions,
Yeah.
effective representative coalitions to tackle these issues.
And civil society needs to be involved.
Absolutely vital. Especially since, as the reports note, 85% of the world's population lives in countries where civic space is seriously restricted. Public input is limited just when we need it most.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's crystal clear AI is this incredibly powerful force. Huge potential for good, but also significant risks.
Definitely.
And it really boils down to not just the tech itself, but the human choices we make, how we develop it, how we deploy it.
Exactly right. The direction AI takes, whether it ultimately expands our freedoms or limits our choices, that's contingent on us, on the design, the deployment, the policies, the institutions we put in place. And there's always more to learn, of course. Hearing multiple perspectives, like the ones in these reports, really enriches our understanding as this landscape keeps shifting.
So a final thought for you listening. Given everything we've discussed, AI automating routine and non-routine tasks, displacing some jobs, augmenting others, what responsibilities do you have in shaping AI's future in your own life, your community, to make sure it genuinely serves human development?